At the beginning of the movie, a man named Yusuf is digging a pit in the cemetery. He is wrapping a dead body in a white cloth and burying it in the pit. Looking at the face of the dead body, it seems that he had some disease like Hushro, due to which he died. But there are marks of a similar disease on Yusuf's feet too. Suddenly, he whistles strangely, hearing which other people of the village also whistle in response. Here we reveal that many people suffering from this disease have died in this village, and they are being buried here, wrapped in a white cloth. The next day, 3 doctors named Yasmin, Vina, and Arla come to this village on behalf of the government. A boatman comes with his boat to take them to the village. Yasmin asks, "Whom are we waiting for?" The boatman tells that in our village there is a pit for burying dead bodies, but there is no one to dig, so we have called someone from another village. We are waiting for them. After some time, a boy named Fajar and his friend Den come to that boat for the work of burying the dead bodies. He apologizes to Yasmin and others that you got delayed because of me. When they go to the other side, Yasmin asks the boatman, "How far is the village from here?" He says that it is nearby, madam. You will just have to walk for 3 hours. He takes them deep into the forest. Everyone gets very worried that they have to walk for 3 hours, but there is no other way. Every tree there has marks of some ritual or the other. Vina slips at a place and is hurt. Yasmin applies medicine on her leg. Then she asks the boatman what people have done to these trees. He tells that he doesn't know. But since I was young, these trees have been like this since. They somehow get through the forest. They reach that village, but it doesn't seem that anyone lives in that village. Yasmin sees some houses marked with symbols. It means no one lives here. Just then, Yasmin's team reaches their medical camp. The people who recently suffered from that strange disease have been kept here. The boatman tells that these people have been lying here for the last 1 month for your medical team. Well, now you guys have arrived. You guys will cure them now. But remember, don't touch any of them directly without wearing gloves. Otherwise, you will also get this contagious disease. The boatman then takes Fajar and Den to a room where Yusuf is lying in a bad condition. He was the one who was digging a pit and burying that body at the beginning of the movie. Then he takes Fajar and Den to a room where many dead bodies are lying. He says that you all should bury everyone as soon as possible. Fajar says that the work will be done. Don't worry. Then the boatman shows the room to Yasmin's team to stay and says, "There is not much facility here. Please adjust, madam." She says, "No problem. We have come here to serve. We will manage." Then Fajar asks where they will stay. The boatman shows them a hut near the graveyard and asks both of them to stay here. There they find a strange map. They also get a book with instructions on how to bury dead people, but both of them don't take that book seriously. They say to each other, "It's simple. Just dig a pit, put the dead body inside, fill it with soil, and that's it." There is also a register that contains the names of 52 people who have died so far. When they come to know that these 52 deaths have occurred in the last 3 days, their hands and legs freeze. Here, Vina looks at the photos kept in that room and arranges the things there. Yasmin takes out medicines for these patients and keeps them. Both of them have no idea what disease the villagers are suffering from. But Yasmin says that whatever the disease may be, we will help these patients as much as we can. Then she goes to the ward to see the patients. Meanwhile, Yasmin starts smelling the odor from the nearby room where the dead bodies are lying. She goes there and places a kind of disinfection ball. But when the ball rolls back near her, she gets scared and wonders what is going on here. A dead body starts moving. She is also scared, but then it is revealed that there was a rat inside the dead body's dress, which was moving. During this night, Fajar and his friend Den have already buried 5 dead bodies. As they rest for a while, they hear the sound of whistling. It's a little girl whistling, signaling that another sick person has died in the village. Fajar and Den pick up the dead body and carry it away, while a third person marks an X on the house. This happens because there's no one else alive here. Suddenly, the lights in the house start turning on. The man marking the house gets scared and goes inside, asking if anyone is there, but no one responds. Suddenly, his red paint can falls, revealing someone's footprints in the paint. He runs out screaming in fear. Meanwhile, Vina is taking a bath when she hears a sound from the ward. She immediately dresses and goes to the ward, realizing Yusuf is missing. Suddenly, Yusuf appears behind Vina and starts strangling her. However, his foot slips, causing him to fall and hit his head, bleeding profusely. He tries to say something about burying the dead bodies, but dies. Yasmin arrives and asks Vina why she pushed him. Vina explains that he slipped while trying to strangle her. Yasmin asks if Vina touched him without gloves, but Vina denies it. Elsewhere, Yasmin's other friend Arla is praying when she hears strange sounds, a ghost banging its head on the glass. After praying, she looks back but finds no one. Arla thinks it's an illusion and doesn't take it seriously. Suddenly, another figure appears, but when she removes the cloth, no one is there. Fajar and Den are sleeping when someone knocks on the door. Fajar tries to wake Den, but he's too tired. Fajar opens the door, finding no one there. He steps outside, turning on the lights, only to see 3 dead bodies following him. Den wakes up, pulls Fajar inside, and they close the door. Meanwhile, a girl named Dia from a nearby village tells her mother, who has the same disease, about the doctors in the other village. She suggests going there for treatment, but her mother refuses. The next day, Yasmin asks Fajar and Den if they buried Yusuf, who died the previous night. Fajar explains that Yusuf is on the waiting list, and they'll bury him after the others. Yasmin warns them about another serious patient, asking them to be careful. Fajar responds flirtatiously, telling Yasmin to be careful too, making her smile as she leaves. Later, Dia asks Arla to visit her sick mother. Arla suggests bringing her mother to the village for treatment. Yasmin decides to go to Dia's house, despite Arla's concerns about the risks and workload. Yasmin assures her she'll go after her shift. The serious patient dies, and their medicine stock is nearly depleted. They need more from the city, but there's no phone signal. Arla tells Fajar to find a spot with a signal to call the boatman for more supplies. Yasmin leaves with Dia for her house. On the way, Yasmin urgently needs a bathroom, so Dia takes her to an empty house. A ghost watches Yasmin and runs away, frightening Dia. A crayon flies through the air and falls, with a hand grabbing it from under a table. Dia, scared, checks under the table but finds no one. Suddenly, a ghost grabs Dia's hand. Hearing her scream, Yasmin rushes over, and Dia warns her about someone behind the curtain. Yasmin, scared but determined, pulls back the curtain and is shocked to see another Dia. The one Yasmin had seen earlier was actually the ghost of an old woman. The ghost tries to catch them, but they manage to escape and run away. Fajar holds the phone to Den and goes to the toilet. Den sees that there is some signal near the well. He immediately messages the boatman to bring more medicines from the city. But in the meantime, Farah calls out, "Please bring some water. The water here has run out." Den, frustrated, scolds him for not entering after filling the bucket. He then goes to draw water from the well and starts whistling. Suddenly, someone else whistles back. Hearing this, he gets very nervous. Who is doing this jugalbandi with me? He wonders. As he pulls the bucket, it feels stuck. He pulls harder, and the bucket comes back quickly, causing him to fall down. With fear, he calls out to Fajar, but a ghost in the well mimics his voice. Meanwhile, a ghost peeps at Fajar sitting in the toilet. Seeing all this, Fajar and Den immediately start running away in fear and go straight to Arla. Together, they wonder why the ghosts of dead people are following them. There must be some important reason. Arla asks Fajar if they perform the rituals properly before burying the bodies, or if they just bury them and remove the clothes. Fajar insists that they do everything properly, but Den suggests that perhaps the village was haunted even before their arrival. Yusuf, who used to find and bury the dead bodies before their arrival, had tried to tell them something about the burial rituals, but they did not understand. Now, there are many dead bodies lying around. Maybe the souls are wandering. Arla instructs that everyone should be buried as soon as possible. Den mentions that he has messaged the boatman about the medicines, but probably due to a lack of signal, there has been no reply. Meanwhile, Yasmin and Dia finally reach Dia's house. Dia asks Yasmin to sit and goes inside. Yasmin peeks into another room and sees Dia's mother combing her hair. She sits quietly, but then a scary ghost starts haunting Yasmin. Dia calls out, "Come on, sister, Mother is in the other room." Yasmin's shocked. If Mother is there, then who was combing hair in this room? Back at the camp, everyone worries about Yasmin, who seems lost in the night, so they go for Yasmin except Vina. Vina stays behind to look after the patients in the ward. Suddenly, she hears a sound coming from the ward. Investigating, she finds nothing strange. But from a nearby room, where the dead bodies are kept, a whistling sound emerges. Vina goes there, switches on the light, and thinks that maybe one of them is alive, brought here by mistake. She removes the cloth from the faces of the dead bodies, checking for signs of life. Suddenly, she sees many ghosts standing behind her. Terrified, she tries to run, but the main door is closed. She screams for help, but the ghosts drag her away. The door opens, and she tries to escape, but a ghost grabs her leg and pulls harder. Due to breaking her jaw, Vina dies on the spot. Yasmin, while treating Dia's mother, suggests she come to the ward for better treatment. Dia's mother refuses, saying, "I know I am going to die. I will not get any benefit by staying there. When I die, bury me in my husband's grave." Yasmin and Dia try to comfort her, but suddenly a whistling sound is heard. Dia explains this is how we pay tribute to the dead. Returning alone through the forest, Yasmin finds herself unable to get out, reaching the same place repeatedly. Shining her torch around, she sees ghosts everywhere. She tries to run away, but the ghosts chase her. Just as they are about to catch her, the scene cuts, and Yasmin wakes up in her house. Her friends had come to save her. She tells them, "I saw many ghosts in the forest." Fajar confirms he had seen them too. Suddenly, they hear Arla's scream. Rushing to the hospital room, they find Vina's body with her jaw broken. The next morning, Fajar and Den wrap Vina in a cloth and perform her last rites. Arla asks if the boatman has received any message about the medicines. Den says no. Arla says, "I will not stay here for another moment. I am leaving." Yasmin, angry and grieving, argues that their friend has been killed and they need to stay. Arla blames Yasmin, saying, "I told you not to go with that girl. We had to find you, and poor Vina had to stay alone. You are the reason for her death." Just then, Den announces that the boatman has replied. He is on his way to the village. Arla insists on waiting by the river for the boatman to leave. Yasmin, feeling guilty, cries as it starts raining. Dia brings clothes in from outside. Her mother sees a ghost at the window and gets scared and calls Dia. When Dia checks, there is no one there. She reassures her mother, saying it was just the wind. As Dia goes to get food for her mother, a ghost appears above her mother's head and spits something into her mouth, causing her to die. Meanwhile, Den was sleeping, hears banging on the door. He gets up and sees that he has the same disease affecting the villagers. Terrified, he sees Fahar sitting outside and scolds him for sitting like a ghost. But when he shines the torch outside, Fahar isn't there. Inside, he finds himself lying dead under a cloth in his bed. He afraid and runs outside to find Fajar. Dia, crying, tells him that her mother has also died. Fajar and Den take her mother to bury her next to her father. Yasmin decides that if anyone else is alive in the village, they must be taken along and they should leave immediately. She checks each house, but finding only dead bodies. Meanwhile, Fajar starts digging Dia's father's grave, as her mother wanted to be buried there. However, Fajar notices something strange. The stone with the dead person's name is placed near Dia's father's feet instead of his head. Fajar is shocked and wonders why this is so. Nearby, Den climbs the well to call the boatman, as the signal is better there. The boatman says he can't come tonight due to heavy rain and will arrive early the next morning. Den's phone slips and falls into the well. As he retrieves the bucket to pick up the phone, a ghost from inside the well pulls Den in. Arla, lost on her way to the river, hears a voice calling for help. She turns to see Vina's ghost trying to catch her. Terrified, Arla runs away. Meanwhile, Fajar recalls the book in his hut about how to bury the dead bodies. Reading it, he learns that the stone with the name should be placed at the feet, not the head of the body. Realizing his mistake, he understands why the ghosts are angry. He had buried the stones incorrectly. Fajar rushes to tell Yasmin. Meanwhile, Dia disappears. Fajar and Yasmin search for her in different directions. Dia, seeing her parents alive, runs to them lovingly, only to realize they are dangerous ghosts. Fajar saves Dia and they run back home. They hide under the bed, but the ghost reappears and they flee to save their lives. Yasmin discovers Den dead in the well and tells Fajar, who can't believe it. Yasmin insists they must leave the village immediately. Dia, scared of leaving the village, hesitates, but Yasmin reassures her. They see the ghosts of the village's dead bodies standing and watching them, a terrifying sight. Yasmin pulls Dia away, but a ghost grabs Fajar's leg. Fajar remembers the magic line written on the back of the book, which can banish the ghosts. He tells Dia to read this. As the ghosts drag Fajar to the pit, Dia recites the magic line continuously. Suddenly, the ghosts disappear, freeing Fajar. In the morning, the boatman arrives and they escape the dangerous village in his boat. On the way, Fajar tells Dia not to worry, as he has a grandmother who will be happy to meet her, bringing a smile to Dia's face for the first time. Yasmin asks the boatman about the writing on the boat. He explains that each village has its own rules, identity, and customs, and one must live according to them. After some days, a team arrives to check for any survivors. They find Arla, who has gone mad, still wandering the village. The film ends with the message that ignoring a village's customs can lead to trouble. Fajar's mistake of placing the name stones incorrectly angered the spirits. This film concludes with this lesson. Do you know of any such village with eerie customs? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you like the story and explanation, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.